Some people believe you make your own luck. Others say fate has the final word. But what about the legends who called their own last act, sometimes years in advance? These are the famous faces who didn't just tempt fate, they stared it down and practically gave it their forwarding address. What does it feel like to know the clock is ticking? Which of these eerie premonitions will give you chills? Let's dive into a countdown you'll never forget. Ready for a wild ride? Tupac Shakur. Tupac Shakur wasn't just a rap icon, he was a prophet of his own doom. With lyrics that cut like a knife and interviews that felt more like confessions, Tupac made it clear he never expected to get old. Back in 1994, asked where he saw himself in 15 years, he didn't picture a mansion or retirement. He said, best case, in a cemetery. Even when he tried to play it off as a worst-case joke, the weight in his words stuck with everyone. He gave Vibe magazine what he called his final interview, practically begging the world to get his story right before it was too late. Then came the music video for I Ain't Mad at Cha, where Tupac acted out his own afterlife. Weeks later, he was gunned down in a drive-by at just 25. Fans still debate whether Tupac saw it coming or just lived so fast he couldn't help but sense the finish line. Either way, his eerie foresight cemented his legend, not just as a poet of the streets, but as a man who always seemed to know he was running out of time. Lisa Left Eye Lopes. Lisa Left Eye Lopes had a wild streak, but she also had a sixth sense that seemed to follow her everywhere. When the TLC star flew to Honduras for what was supposed to be a healing getaway, she started filming a documentary that got more unsettling by the day. Lisa believed she was being chased by a dark force, especially after her van struck a young boy who shared her last name. The chills only grew when she insisted that a spirit meant to take her was now tracking her every move. The documentary captured her unnerving fear, and viewers can't help but squirm as Lisa talks about her premonitions with a nervous laugh that doesn't fool anyone. Days later, her own car swerved off the road in Honduras. The crash and her final moments were caught on film. Was it pure coincidence, or did Lisa see her own story written in the shadows? Either way, her tragic ending became one of music's strangest prophecies, and the footage she left behind still sends shivers down spines. John Lennon. John Lennon was never shy about speaking his mind, and that included his cynicism about his own future. While the world remembers him for peace anthems and Beatles mania, Lennon repeatedly hinted that he wouldn't make it to old age. Friends, secretaries, and journalists all recall Lennon's grim sense of humor. He'd casually drop lines like, "I won't be here when I'm 40, and even predicted he'd either die in a plane crash or be popped off by some loony. It wasn't just a rock star's joke. It felt more like a warning. When Lennon was shot outside his New York apartment just after turning 40, it hit fans like a gut punch. He wasn't just a musical genius. He was a man who saw the clouds gathering long before anyone else did. Decades later, his words haunt every documentary and news special. Was Lennon just that, in tune with the world's darkness? Or did he unknowingly write his own fate? Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson's paranoia wasn't just tabloid fodder, it was a very real fear that kept him up at night. While fans saw the king of pop as untouchable, Michael saw danger lurking around every corner. He told his daughter Paris, friends, and even ex-wife Lisa Marie Presley that powerful people wanted him gone. In his final months, Jackson wrote letters to confidants saying he was going to be killed and openly told people, "They're going to kill me one day." Some brushed it off as nerves or stress, but Jackson's family took him seriously. When he died of an overdose administered by his own doctor, conspiracy theories exploded. Was it foul play, or just a star who lived too close to the edge? No matter what you believe, Michael's words and actions in his last days are chilling. He may have moonwalked into every spotlight, but he never escaped the feeling that the world was closing in. XXXTentacion? XXXTentacion's life was always a storm, controversy, sudden fame, and a constant sense of being hunted. Just months before he was murdered, X posted a video to Instagram staring straight into the camera and talking openly about dying young. "If I'm going to die a tragic death, or I'm not able to see out my dreams, at least I want to know that kids perceive my message." It wasn't a throwaway line. It sounded like a young man reading his own headline. On June 18, 2018, he was shot and killed in Florida. He was only 20. The details were so close to what he described that fans still replay his words, searching for signs he knew it was coming. Some say he just had a feeling. Others say the lifestyle made the outcome almost inevitable. Either way, XXXTentacion's prediction made his story one of the most chilling and talked about in hip-hop. Prince. Prince was no stranger to singing about life's mysteries, but his hints about his own death are the stuff of music lore. For years, fans combed his lyrics for hidden messages. His haunting track, Sometimes It Snows in April, dwelled on loss, and the song Let's Go Crazy featured a reference to elevators, a detail that turned downright spooky when Prince was later found in an elevator at Paisley Park. The coincidences piled up, but there's more. Prince's sister, Tyka Nelson, said he once called her and flat out declared, "I think I've done everything I've come to do." Then there are the fans who swear Prince saw his end coming for years, especially as he grew more reclusive and focused on leaving behind a sprawling musical legacy. When the world learned of his sudden passing in 2016, every lyric and every cryptic interview suddenly sounded like a goodbye. Was Prince just attuned to his own timeline, or was it a master's farewell hiding in plain sight? Either way, the clues he left behind keep his legend alive, and fans are still listening for more. Jim Morrison. Jim Morrison was obsessed with death. You can hear it in every Doors song, an electric mix of romance and doom. But Morrison wasn't just singing to the void, he was talking to himself. After fellow icons Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin both died at 27, Morrison famously told friends, "You're drinking with number 3. He saw the pattern and he called his shot. Morrison wasn't exactly living safe. His self-destructive habits were infamous. But what stands out is just how specific he was. It wasn't someday, it was now. Not long after those words, Morrison was found dead in his Paris apartment's bathtub. The official story was heart failure, but rumors of overdose and foul play have never stopped swirling. He joined the infamous 27 Club, sealing his own prophecy. Was it a self-fulfilling cycle or genuine foresight? Morrison's ghostly prediction has haunted rock fans for decades, proof that sometimes legends really do write their own final verse. Debbie Reynolds. Hollywood royalty doesn't get more iconic than Debbie Reynolds. She was America's sweetheart, beloved for musicals like Singin' in the Rain, but her greatest fear was heartbreak, not headlines. In her memoir Unsinkable, Debbie wrote that nothing scared her more than the thought of outliving her daughter, Carrie Fisher. She confessed that she didn't think she could survive such a loss. In December 2016, that very fear became reality. Carrie Fisher, her daughter and superstar in her own right, passed away suddenly. The next day, while at her son's house planning Carrie's funeral, Debbie reportedly turned to him and said, "I miss her so much. I want to be with Carrie." She suffered a stroke and died hours later. Some called it fate, others said it was heartbreak. Debbie Reynolds' words weren't just a mother's anxiety. They turned out to be a script she never wanted to follow. Her story is proof that sometimes the greatest love stories end with a final, haunting act. Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston's voice could move mountains, but in her final days, even she couldn't outrun the storm clouds gathering overhead. Friends noticed something was off. She seemed to talk about the end as if she could see it waiting around the corner. Just days before her sudden death, Whitney reportedly told those closest to her, "I'm going to go see the ones I love." Her words sent a chill, but they shrugged it off as a moment of spiritual reflection. Instead, it was a warning. On February 11, 2012, Whitney was found dead in a hotel bathtub, leaving fans around the globe stunned. The official cause was accidental drowning, but whispers of her decline and her own foreboding words turned her passing into one of the most chilling "I told you so" moments in pop music history. Whitney's prophecy is one more reason her story hit so hard. Even when the whole world was singing her praises, she saw what nobody else wanted to admit. Buddy Holly. Buddy Holly may have been the original rock and roll prodigy, but his sense of fate was anything but upbeat. On the very night before his final flight, both he and his wife, Maria Elena, had eerily vivid dreams about disaster. Maria dreamt of a fireball falling from the sky and people running in panic. Buddy dreamed of flying with his wife and brother, only to be forced to leave her behind. These weren't just run-of-the-mill nightmares. They shook both of them to the core. Holly, never the superstitious type, was so upset by the dreams that he broke down telling Maria about it. The next day, Buddy Holly boarded a small plane and left Maria behind for the first and only time in their marriage. The plane crashed hours later, killing everyone on board. Fans still wonder if Buddy had some kind of warning from the universe, or if a rock and roll life just invites tragedy. Either way, Holly's dream became reality, and his legend is forever tied to the night music died. Juice WRLD wasn't afraid to get real about life's dangers, even when it meant singing his own eulogy. The rapper's hit single Legends didn't just mention the infamous 27 Club, it made a bleak prediction. What's the 27 Club? We ain't making it past 21. It sounded like a punchline until tragedy made it prophecy. On December 8, 2019, just days after his 21st birthday, Juice WRLD died from a seizure at Chicago's Midway Airport, linked to an overdose. Even wilder, just before his death, he tweeted a message urging fans to do great things and outlive his own legend. The lyrics and the timing were so on the nose that fans instantly started replaying his songs, listening for more hidden warnings. Was he being dramatic, or was it a gut feeling? Juice WRLD's honesty about his own risks and mortality makes his passing feel less like a coincidence and more like an artist reading the last page before anyone else. David Bowie. David Bowie always seemed to be living one step ahead of everyone, musically, fashion-wise, and, as it turns out, even in death. Years before his passing, a psychic told Bowie he'd die at 69 or 70. Instead of brushing it off, Bowie actually believed it and set his affairs in order. When cancer came for him, he faced it with the same creative energy that made him a legend. Bowie's final album, Black Star, released just days before his death, is packed with references to mortality and leaving this world behind. The music video for Lazarus shows him floating above a hospital bed, looking almost serene about the whole thing. Was this art imitating life, or life imitating prophecy? Bowie's pianist, Mike Garson, swears that Bowie planned his legacy right down to the last act, embracing his fate with style and grace. When Bowie died at 69, fans everywhere felt like they'd lost a star who saw his end coming and left them a cosmic roadmap to follow. Patsy Cline. Country legend Patsy Cline had a feeling her story would end sooner than most, and she wasn't shy about it. After surviving 2 serious car accidents, Patsy reportedly told fellow singer Ray Walker she was sure the 3rd time would be the one that got her. During a flight to Kansas City, the urge struck her so hard that she scribbled her will on a scrap of paper. She was only 30, at the very top of her game, with a future full of chart toppers ahead. Just a week after making that prediction to Ray Walker, Cline died in a plane crash on her way home from a concert. Her friends say she always seemed to be looking over her shoulder, as if waiting for fate to catch up. In the world of country music, legends usually grow in hindsight, but Patsy's story is told with a sigh, because she saw it coming and nobody could stop it. Sometimes the saddest songs write themselves. Mikey Welsh. Mikey Welsh, the former bassist for Weezer, was no stranger to the darker side of fame. He battled inner demons for years, but his prediction about his own end was shockingly specific. Just 2 weeks before his death, Mikey tweeted about a dream where he died of a heart attack in a Chicago hotel right down to the weekend. "Need to write my will today," he added, as if planning for the worst. The following weekend came and went, but 2 weeks later, his prediction came true. He was found in a Chicago hotel, dead from what authorities suspected was a mix of prescription drugs. Fans and friends were stunned, replaying those tweets in disbelief. Did he sense something others couldn't? Was it intuition, or just the weight of his struggles finally catching up? Either way, Mikey Welsh's final days read like the closing lines of a song you wish had one more verse.